You know what's the best plant? A free plant. Let's go rescue some.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever.
Let's bring these guys home and give them a little checkup.
Forever.
This is a money tree, which is also known as, actually the name is on it. So it's money tree's scientific name is Praca aquaca. It actually can grow in swamps natively. I forget where they're native from. It probably wasn't getting enough light, which is why I'm assuming some of these leaves are yellow, or it looks like, if we look down here, this looks like it might have rotted a little bit, but it's still firm. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of tease it out and see what's going on underneath. Let's just put this to the side because we'll take care of the easy one first, which is this guy, a rubber tree. She even left all the dead leaves for us. I'm just gonna lift it out of the pot to look at it while I'm telling you guys, and it is very dehydrated, as you can see, very dry. And it looks like it would, see, when it's wrinkly like this at the bottom, it always makes me think, like, why is this discolored? You see how this is darker than up here, and up here looks like it's rotting, honestly? Like, that's not healthy. Let's look at the roots and see what's going on. So these plants, where did they come from? So I'm part of the local Buy Nothing group. It was started actually here in Seattle. It's a Facebook group to help to try to build community. It's within your neighborhood, and it allows people to give away stuff. And yes, so, you know, they have a Facebook group. Every neighborhood in Seattle has one. I think it's a great idea. I love it. I'm actually I volunteered to be an admin for it. It helps build community, and, you know, it helps people who need it. Or even if you don't need it, if you're just trying to, like, give things away, like a dead plant, or not dead, but almost dead plant. I gotten Chef from there. Chef is our new betta fish. Someone was giving away a crested gecko the other day that I'm thinking about adopting. Yeah, so you can get all sorts of free things that people don't necessarily want. We've given away stuff, we've received stuff, so it's nice. So that's where we got these plants from. We didn't just rock up to somebody's porch and just take them. So it's part of community building, and then, like, people give thanks and appreciation. It's all very nice and neighborly. And since the pandemic, obviously, it's slowed down a lot. I'm just loosening up the dirt, trying not to damage the plant too much because it's already looking quite stressed. So I would say that this potting medium, like, just right off the bat, not enough pumice, not enough just aeration. Most of your houseplants will be a lot happier in a much more well-draining medium. So I would say that this is probably was overwatered at some point. And so this is why I think it's gotten soft up here, because this is not gonna make it. Like, this is just gonna die. I'm actually thinking of cutting it off, maybe beheading the whole thing, and see what happens. Because these, I mean, come on, these leaves are a joke. And this tip is bye-bye. Maybe I should have did more research. Maybe it's, if I behead it, it might not come back, but this is not, you're not good. Okay, so I'm gonna remove a lot of this. I'm gonna prune some of these roots. I just wanna get all the dirt off because I don't think this is too peat heavy. I'm not a fan. Like, there should be like 50% white. You see people in Seattle walking around all the time with plants in their hands, and I'm always like eyeing them, like, ooh, what do they have? I'm going to throw this plant into the propagation box, and I'm hoping with, you know, some TLC, some higher humidity, it might bounce back. It might not. I don't know. I think one of the things with ficus, not that they're like, I don't know, I've had ficuses that died, and I've had ficus that, you know, people claim are really finicky. I feel like once your ficus plant is going downhill, it's very hard to get it to bounce back. That's, yeah, my observation. So let's just give this guy a little trim. Or maybe just not even, I don't even need my scissors, just use my hand to pull off some of this and just keep the main roots. Looks pretty good. I do want to cut the top off. I'm really not sure how that's gonna go.
I mean, is there any harm in leaving it at this point?
I mean, look at it. This is gonna fall off anyway.
Yeah.
So are we hoping that it'll just grow out a new point somewhere else? Like, this is still good down here. This is gone. This is not how you want that to be. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never done this before with a ficus plant. Some of it's still alive. Some of it not so much. Like, that needs to go. You know what that is. I'd be surprised if this thing survived. Ready? I mean, it's not a big deal because it's already gone, so
Yeah.
we're just gonna throw it in here, cover it up. Don't be alarmed, but there might be a half-dying elbow in there. Yeah, it got too dry. I have to look at it, but that's not what this video is about, so I'm gonna bury this lying down and see how that goes. I might need more medium. See, look, it grew all these roots, but it has not grown a new point, so I don't know. And this leaf is gonna go, so I don't know. All right, just let's get it in there, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna need more medium, so I will do that later. Okay. The money tree. Let's see what's going on with this. So I have a minor suspicion that it might have gotten a little root rot. So I'm just going to take a look and see what's going on. So this is how I normally unpot something this big. And then you can yank it out after you've given it a nice massage. So the way the Buy Nothing group works is, like, you know, multiple people will show interest in it. We usually just use a random a random number generator to pick the winner. And I was interested in these plants mainly because of this plant, because I know that it could grow in the aquarium. I'm not going to stick the whole thing in there. It's too big, but I could definitely take cuttings and see what would happen if I try to grow it in the tank, because it'd be quite cool. I've never unpotted a money tree before, but I would definitely say these roots don't look extremely healthy to me. And let me show you guys. So yeah, that doesn't look great, and this thing is bone dry. All right, I'm gonna stab this to loosen this up. So you see how this has a lot of perlite in it in comparison to the first plant? This is way better. I feel like all these videos, people are just watching me stab plants to death. Watch me stab it to death. This is why actually they tell you, which I don't really do it myself, which is not great, but they do tell you that you should, like, you know, every other watering or at least once a month, you should use something like this and, you know, kind of loosen up the soil, because otherwise it just gets very stiff like this, and then the water actually can't penetrate through into the middle. And it just kind of leaks out on the outside, and you don't really want that. So yeah, I don't know what these roots are supposed to look like. Like, they don't look alive. Like, is that alive? That doesn't look alive. That looks pretty, not alive. I usually expect roots to, have some kind of snap to it, and also, well, it's usually white inside. So it would be kind of pointless for me to just, keep watering it and hope for the best. Even though some of you are probably thinking that I'm like over stressing this plant out right now, I just think that in the long run, it'll be better off. Because I'm sure this plant was big, really big and healthy when this person initially got it. But it's no longer the case, so it needs some TLC. All right, some rapid fire stabbing going on.
Being this came from IKEA,
Yeah.
so it probably was about this size, maybe a bit smaller.
No, it was bigger. This thing was definitely fuller because this branch is dead. This is gone.
Yeah.
Maybe these were original cuts. Like, I don't know if, who cut these. It looked like they were all cut, so maybe it came like that. But one of them is definitely dead. So one out of these 5 plants that's been twisted together, one of them is gone. But I don't know if there's any life left. I feel like a Thai massage woman. How does this feel? You liking this? So I think the problem with this plant is, which is with a lot of plants, is that people underestimate how much light the plant actually needs. So I did a little bit of research online, and it says that the ideal amount of light that it needs is 900 foot candles, and that is a lot of light. So if you are, watering it every week, even just a little bit, you're guaranteed to get root rot if you're not giving it enough light. So I think when you buy a larger plant, people just don't realize that it just needs a lot more light the bigger the plant, which is why my bird of paradise was very unhappy in here, because it's huge and it just we don't have enough space, and also not enough light and not enough air circulation for it. Now it's actually been living the bird of paradise has been living outside in the hallway, which it gets very low light, and I actually haven't watered it all winter. I watered it the first time last week in the past 6 months. And it's actually looking a lot better. It doesn't have scale anymore.
You heard it here first. Water your plants once every 6 months.
It's not true. It's just that it was in a very low light condition, so there was no need to water it, especially it was winter time. I don't think I'm gonna reuse any of this. I'm just gonna put in new dirt. I don't even know if this is it'd be really funny if this is just all just dead. Not funny, but it's just so dry that it's just gone. It's just hanging on by a thread. I mean, it looks like it barely has a root system. I don't know. I feel like this plant needs to be basically rerooted. These roots are so thin. I'm actually really surprised, just because this is, such a big ass plant. Oh well, let's just do our best. Usually when we adopt these plants, I don't really ask too many questions, but I think it might have helped. Seeing a root like that is much more promising. That's the way it should feel. You can't just break it off like that. That's not. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Well, it's got one good root.
Yeah, there's still hope. So it looks like most of the roots that were there are dead. This is sort of what's left of the healthy roots. So I would not have been able to tell that unless I did what I did, and it's not my favorite thing to do to a plant if I don't have to, but especially when I don't know anything about it, I just need to see what's going on. I'm just continuing to loosen the root ball because I don't know what's dead and what's alive, so I really don't want dead roots hanging around. You shouldn't be able to just pull off roots like that. They just shouldn't just snap off. You see how that's on? And I'm not tugging super hard. So this is what I was pointing at before. This is telling me that, in my opinion, that it's a bad sign. Like, I don't think it should look more like this up here. I don't know. Like I said, I've never had a money tree. So if you have any observations that you would like to share, please let me know in the comments below. But I think this will be happier in the long run. And I think that the plant is probably not going to grow that much this year, and that, you know, most of these leaves are probably going to fall off. But that's all okay. So a lot of times when I do these things, I'm banking on the longevity of it. All right, I think that's enough abuse for today. So good thing is these are still sort of firm, so we shall go from there. So I'm gonna put this down and dump the soil. So I always try to get organic soil whenever possible, and locally I can get this for a pretty good price, and I like the ingredients. And in this black box, I just have pumice, leca, and some bark. This is actually recycled material that I took out of my pond. So, just gonna mix some of that. I'm gonna do like 50%. It smells nice. Okay, let's try to mix that. Put this on the floor. Good. So I always do less soil rather than more, and then just add from there, because I always tend to overwater my plants, so I like a very well draining medium, and I'd rather just, you know, give it a good watering every time. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the way the mix looks. Visually, you can see that it's 50% white and the other half is brown, so that tells me it's gonna be pretty good. So let's pot this baby up. I'm gonna try to size it up and see if it'll work with this. Because as you can see, the plant has a very shallow root system, so I think it could do okay in here for a while. And it's terracotta, so that means it'll be very well draining, help with the moisture, keep moisture level down. Root rot is the worst enemy, and this plant is kind of weird because obviously it can live in the swamp. So I'm not sure why wet feet would bother it all that much, but apparently it does. So I don't have a thing at the bottom, let me get it. So it's a good idea to put a mesh at the bottom to cover the hole. And I'm just recycling this from my fish projects. You don't have to, and sometimes I don't even bother, but since I have it, why not? And I see what it looks like.
Noise.
It just helps prevent it from leaking all over the place. Because I don't have anything else right now. I don't want to look for something else, so here we go. So yeah, we're home free. This is it, and I'm not gonna give it a lot of light initially. I'm just gonna leave it in here, let it acclimate, give it a good watering. So yeah, previously I was like down there, so we'll just try to match that line. Dusty. There, I got it. I believe this pot is also from the Buy Nothing group. I actually, a lot of the terracotta pots that you see that I have in the balcony, people were just giving them away. So I was like, I'll take them. Yeah, that's good, except it's crooked. So I think the medium for this one was fine. I think they just overwatered it because it just wasn't getting enough light. And that's not to say like, I think the way to really think about it is the balance between light and moisture. So as long as you have the right balance, even if you're growing a plant in really low light, it's gonna do fine, as long as you don't water it too much. So that is it. We're gonna go give it a good drench since it was super thirsty. Yeah, if you have any tips on caring for your money tree or how much water or how much light you're giving it, let us know in the comments below because everybody's situation is different. So if you had success, we would love to hear from you. And I hope you enjoy this video and happy growing. See you in the next one.